Blog Talk Radio.
Aloha, everybody. This is Jennifer O'Neill, and I am the host of Hawaii Psychic Radio, the Spirit Channel. Thanks for joining me today. Today's broadcast is going to be on aliens and UFOs. It's been quite an interesting 2011, and I think 2012 is going to be a lot better for everybody. Things are going to start changing. And there's a question that I'm actually getting a lot of everywhere I go when I do radio shows, when I do appearances or workshops or something. Everybody's asking a lot about aliens, and I find that very fun and interesting and also not coincidental. It's something that for the past probably 10, 15, 20 years, however long that I've been doing this, people used to not talk about very much. And the interesting thing is it's only been the last 6 months or so that people have asked me a lot about it, or have said, what do you think about aliens? Have you heard anything, about aliens? What do you think is going to happen? Have people talked about UFO sightings? And so people also that you would never think would ask you this type of stuff, people that you didn't think would believe in that. And so, yes, I'm here to talk about aliens and UFOs, and it's going to be a really fun show. So if you have stories that you want to share, you can definitely call in. It's 760-283-0832, and you can ask questions, or you can just listen and hear what we have to say. So I channel, if anybody doesn't know that already, I channel a council, and I have been getting a lot of information on aliens in the last probably 6 to 8 months, and I have been doing a lot of writing on it, so you're going to be able to see the information that I have in more full detail coming up probably in the next couple of months or so, so watch for that. And my council has been bringing me a lot of information on the aliens. First and foremost, one of the things is, in 2012 is the end of the Mayan calendar era, which is the end of a consciousness era. People talk about it a lot, and they kind of know, they're starting to understand how that relates to spirits and that sort of thing, which is the veil begins to thin, which is that layer, that dimensional layer between the earthly plane and the spiritual plane. There's a dimensional layer, and so as that begins to thin or dissolve away into a thin area, and you can kind of view it as like a heavy curtain versus a very light curtain. So as that begins to thin, the dimensions start to blend a little bit better. And so people understand that as that happens, there's going to be a lot more seeing of spirits and that sort of thing. The other thing that's happening with that consciousness era ending and the new consciousness era coming is that's created sort of the perfect storm, also the perfect timing, I guess I want to say universally, for aliens to begin to make themselves known. And so I had been contacted from some alien energies, alien beings, through a dimensional shift that I had done. I get into this a little bit more in the article or the book, the short book that I'm writing. It will be a short book on. I do dimensional travel, interdimensional travel. It's something I've done since I was young. I didn't know what it was when I was young. I do know what it is, as I gotten older. And so when I do that, I meet with a lot of different spirits and that sort of thing. How do I know it's real? Because it for one, it feels very different. For two, I always get very validated information that ends up being very accurate. So it's kind of like you would imagine if you were to have a premonition, I guess I want to say, in sort of a foggy state. So that's been happening. And so during that time, I've been getting more, I've had a few visits with aliens, and they've answered some questions for me. One, the first experience I had was extremely horribly terrifying. It's really funny to me because I do these shows all the time, and I talk to spirits, and I deal a lot with loved ones that have passed over, and that scares the bejesus out of people, and that doesn't scare me at all. In fact, it's just very normal. But when I first had alien contact, it totally, I felt like I couldn't breathe. I felt like my feet couldn't move. It was absolutely the most terrifying experience to me because it was something foreign to me. I wasn't used to this. And so as I've gotten information from them and from my channel, from my council, we have gathered more information on what's going to be happening in the future. One of the things is you're going to be seeing a lot more of, I guess I want to say, sightings around the world. And people have predicted this in the past and whatever, and I've seen people get upset online with, people in 2010 said there was going to be more. People, at this time said there was going to be more. Now, when I say there's going to be a lot more UFO sightings or alien sightings, there really is. But some of the things that you have to understand is these are not going to be things that are going to be shown in the media. They're not going to be shown on the news, most likely. They're not going to be shown in People magazine or something, but they are going to be shown a lot on YouTube. People are going to be taking a lot more. You're going to notice if you monitor the clips on YouTube, you'd notice that there's going to be a lot more YouTube clips. There's going to be a lot more friends and family that have seen them. You yourself might experience them. You're going to hear a lot more talking about it because they're going to start to show up everywhere, and they're becoming not afraid, I guess, or more bold in making themselves known. See, they really wanted to make themselves not very visible to us before in the past, and now they're finding that it's just time to start making themselves visible. So you're going to be seeing a lot more things like that, first and foremost. One of the questions that I had when I talked about doing a show like this is, and I really want to address this because I think it's a really good question, and people ask it all the time, and they wonder about it all the time. Do you think the government is going to acknowledge that there's UFOs? No, I don't think they are. And I want you to view it in a little bit different way than why wouldn't they just tell us? Number one is the government has a responsibility to the people, and, there's things that they do that everybody likes and things that they do that they don't like, including me. They're there for a reason, but one of their responsibilities is to kind of keep, I guess I want to say, peace or not try to maintain some chaotic behavior, not freak everybody out. Now, if you think of it along those lines, if they were to go ahead and go, okay, you know what, CNN, we're going to go ahead and say we've known about UFOs for years. Area 57, all that, it's all true, and they're definitely around, and we don't know how to keep them out because we're doing the best they can and have over the years, but we don't have the power. That would cause such a chaotic, crazy energy with everybody. It would be ridiculous. So the reason I know that is because when I post things on Facebook or any of the writing stuff that I do, if I'm posting anything that says anything to do with, alien sightings or aliens potentially coming in, I'm kind of shocked myself, and I deal with a lot of spiritual people, like on my Facebook, on my and my emails and all that. My people are very spiritual, very open. They know what I do. They're used to what, the stuff that I talk about. And so my people are pretty much open people. And even with that audience, I get a lot of, oh my gosh, that totally freaks me out. I hope that they don't come around. Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? Are they going to do probing? Are they going to do abductions? Are they going to do all these different things? So the bottom line is it scares people. And as long as it scares people and has that type of effect, I do not believe that they will ever come out and verify and say, yes, we do believe in them. I just don't think it will. It'd be the same as if, you were parents and you have little children and you try to, keep them, I guess I want to say, in the dark about some things that are negative, and unless, I guess, it's to your benefit, right? But the things that you want to keep them in the dark, that would be one of them, and that's why I believe that they're not going to take a stand and say yes, because then that's a realm of control that they don't have as well. They cannot control who's coming in and who's coming out from other galaxies or universes as much as they want to believe they can. It's just not even going to happen. So that being said, that question answered, no, they're not going to do it. It's too much. It's too many problems for them. The second thing I was asked, do you think aliens are nice? And do you think that we are, how would you say, reincarnation compatible with other planets? So I'm going to start with the first one. Do I think aliens are nice? In my experience and with channeling and with meeting some that I have met, I think that the thing that you have to understand is there's not just one species of aliens. There's not just one group of them. These are some things that I have come to know, and over my experience that I have come to learn that I did not know before. There's not one group. There's several groups. They're not from one galaxy or one universe. They're from several. They have different jurisdictions that they tend to be over, I guess I want to say. So there are some that the ones that I have dealt with personally, and the ones that I have talked with during my channeling sessions, yes, they're extremely nice. I don't believe that that's the case for everybody, but I don't think that we should be afraid of that, because I do know that we're under the jurisdiction of a certain group, and they're our protectors. So they're going to protect over us. That's very important, and that's why they're here. So they're going to make sure that there's, the ones that want to probably, I guess I want to say, be up to no good, I guess. I don't know how you say that. But anyways, the ones that would be up to no good, yes, there are some of those out there. Okay, reincarnation, other planets. Yes, absolutely. I believe that in my experience, in my channeling sessions with my council, some of the things that I've seen is you can have reincarnation from this planet to other planets. And in fact, when I've done past life regressions, I see that a lot. I see, usually it's not like this last lifetime or a couple lifetimes ago, but I will see times when you've lived on other planets, if you have. And by a lot, I don't mean 70% of the people that come in. I mean, for me, a lot is I'll see it about 40% of the people that I look into their past lives, I will see that they've had experiences on other planets. The interesting thing about that is those people usually know, because I can tell to bring it up or not to bring it up, or they'll ask me, but usually I'll see it before that they ask me, and they will know right away. They will be like, yep, that makes total sense. I knew that there was something with another planet with me. Do you know what planet I was on, etc. So, yes, there's reincarnation from one planet to another planet, and so many of you may have not lived on this planet your whole reincarnational lives. You may have lived on other planets in your reincarnational lives. It's just where you choose to reincarnate, etc. Are there aliens that come to Earth? Yes. In fact, I've had one experience in my life with that, and it's really, really interesting. Couple different things. I think that maybe there are some aliens that do look like what people would call the Greys, or they have like big eyes and, they're little short people. But in my experience and the people that I've channeled, my counsel that has talked to me and given me information about aliens, and the one person that I had run across, they're all human form. They all take on a human form. They look like a human. You would never know the difference. The way that I knew the difference, the way that I could tell is, again, I've been psychic my whole entire life. I talk more about this in the article that I'm writing, but they feel so different. It's like they're kind of like everybody that I come in contact with, I get a reading on every single person. And so you can imagine that I'm sort of like an energy detector, and, like kind of like an electrician, an energy detector. And from anybody, you're giving me off a certain amount, a certain timing, a certain watt of energy. I get it from everybody. The only people I don't get it from is people that have passed over. But the interesting thing about that is I usually get it from their friends and family, so the energy just seems to be transferred. It's just not with that person that has passed over at that time. When when we were at a place, it was actually me and my son, when we were at a place and this person had come up. It was a public event that I was doing, and so they had come up near where I was. I started making conversation because of a particular necklace that this person had on. It was a very, very old piece of stone from Peru, and it was very old. It had to have been probably 2000 BC. And so I had made conversation asking this person about it. The interesting thing about when you talk to them in person is they're very different. I could not get a reading at all in the sense that I get a reading off of people. There's a little bit of a reading as far as you can tell that they're, alive and whatever, but they're very much structured different energetically. It was the most foreign feeling to me that I've ever had. It was shocking. I was really kept talking to this person to try to figure out if there was something that was very that I was missing. That was just, why was this person so blank to me? Why was I not getting any read? I was just sort of shocked. And so as they kept talking to me, I noticed a few other things, which my son then verified as we talked about it later. They don't talk to you. They don't make conversation the way that a normal person would make conversation. And I don't mean that they're withdrawn. I mean that their eyes are very different. They're almost black. They look right at you. They almost look right through you, but they listen so intently. It's like they're not just listening with their ears. It's like they're listening with their whole being. They're not big conversationalists, so they very much listen, and then their answers are very short. They don't seem completely oriented. Their answers are very short in what they're saying when they're talking back. And he seemed to know other people around the area, but it was an experience I'll never forget, and my son will never forget, who's older. It was definitely noticeable to someone in our field, so that was quite interesting. Do I feel that aliens, I feel like they've gotten a bad rap, so to speak, in scaring people. I think that when people talk about them coming down doing alien abductions, probing people, putting little devices under their skin and all that, what it says to everybody is it sends them a lot of different signals, which is, I don't want to be taken against my will. You're violating my personal space by putting metal objects under my skin. Probing, that I don't even have to go into that really. So I think that with all of those stories, people the aliens and that have really, it's scared everybody so much that they've gotten that's why they react if somebody says there's been an alien sighting or whatever. I think over the years that cliche of all those things are starting to go away, and the curiosity of everybody is starting to get the best of them, and maybe they're starting to come around looking for them, thinking maybe they're not all that bad. Maybe there are some good ones out there. And truth be told, the horrible thing about that, I think it's a lot of different reasons. One is because some of the government situations on the whole world and some of the economic situations with the economy has gotten so bad. I think that people look for a light at the end of the tunnel. They sort of look for, well, how worse could that be? How worse could alien life be, and what would it be like on other planets? Maybe it's good on other planets. How do we not know that? So they start to wonder and they start to be curious, and with that whole energetic, that consciousness as a whole of people wondering and starting to be more familiar with it, it draws them in and makes it, with the veil thinning, it allows it to be okay to make themselves known. The other thing is, aliens have been around for centuries and hundreds of thousands of years. It's not something new that's coming at all. In fact, they were very, very known. They were very present. They were very written about. If you study anything with the Sanskrit stuff, the scrolls, any type of older books that you can get your hands on, even the Bible, the older versions, not the newer redone versions, all of those things talk about space beings or people coming in and out from the sky. It was written about, it was common, it was normal, and it wasn't something that necessarily freaked everybody out. It was something that was a part of how they built societies. It was a part of how they built structures. And it's interesting to me, just with the pyramids, the advanced technology, all of those different things, Teotihuacan, Ollantaytambo, all these different things that were built, obviously structured for different, in my opinion, and when I've looked at it, my guides have told me that they were obviously structured for different types of space things coming in and out. They were obviously structured with different technology. People just tend to turn a blind eye to that. That's sort of coming to light more and more. It was very common. They were around. It was just part of life. And so that was a different consciousness era. Then we got into the more suppressed consciousness era with the Mayan calendar. Now we're coming back to that same consciousness era. It's kind of like it's made full circle again. And so as we've moved, the BC times, the beginning of times, before when the aliens were known and helping us build and structure and do all of these different things, that was a whole open consciousness era. That was a very spiritual consciousness era. That was the same time that they used their intuition. They knew dreams were not just dreams, they were extension of your consciousness. They utilized more of their spirit being as a whole. They used it more as utilized more of your spiritual being. Whereas when we came into the middle part, the one that we're coming out of now, the middle part of the consciousness era, we just went into enclosure. We went into not utilizing our spiritual abilities. We went into materialistic era. We went into not utilizing the universal energies, none of that. And so now we're coming back into that again. So there's a lot of benefits that I think that we could get from aliens and UFOs. But I also believe that some of the places around the world would try to fend them off at all costs. I really, it's sad, but it's true. Would they be successful? No. Would they try to do it? Yes. Because let's just think about that for a minute. Let's imagine that the UFOs, they make themselves known as they're going to. People start wanting to communicate with them and get information from them. And so they come down and teach you us how to build at different areas, teach us how to redo some medical things and help things better. There would be a profit loss from that, number one, for certain businesses around the globe. And number two, they wouldn't have control. Certain businesses and certain things wouldn't have control. They'd lose their control of being able to have all the power, I guess I want to say, and that would be threatening to them. So I don't believe, in my opinion, I just don't believe that they would make that very easy for aliens to come down and say, let me show you how to, structure this better. Let me show you how to make these laser devices. Let us show you how to do some different things with universal energy in space. I think that would be very hard. So will they be showing up on your doorstep? Most likely not. Well, on individual cases, will you run into them? A lot. You're going to see a lot more of that in the future. You're going to see a lot more people talking about it. You're going to see a lot more of your friends and family dreaming about it, seeing lights, meeting people that they think are a little bit strange that they can't get a read on. So you're gonna see them, but they're gonna be in human form, and they're not gonna be like, hey, I'm not from here. Nice to meet you. It's just, you're going to have to be a little bit more observant, I guess I want to say, because for fear of getting hurt or being run off like they would be afraid of. So alien sightings, again, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that around the globe. There's good and bad. We're surrounded by mostly good. We are protected by a section of them, by a group of them. We're protected, and so that's another reason they're going to be making themselves known, because they need to make themselves known for protection. The government, I don't believe, will acknowledge that. You shouldn't be as afraid as you are. You really just shouldn't be as afraid. I think that some people should be more afraid of a lot of the people that we have on this planet than you should be about alien beings. It's just truth. Some of the people on the planet have way worse intentions than the alien beings do. And so those are some things that I've been asked I'm going to be writing some stuff on this that's going to have a lot more detail. I've gotten a lot more information that actually goes into what I would call, I guess I want to say, alien politics or alien government structure. But it's not really a government structure, but it's how their jurisdictions, how they are divided in different areas of the universe. And so I'm going to be writing about that. It's something that I can't really do in a half an hour show. And so that's a lot of information. I've actually gotten information on what the flag looks like, that the particular alien group that tends to be around and protect our planet for the most part, what their flag looks like. They have flags, they have jurisdictions, they have ways of communicating with each other, they have ways of, I guess I want to say, universal behavior patterns of how the laws are different things in the universe. They have rules and laws to abide by. Some of them are broken. Some of them have to be reinforced. It's kind of similar, but different. It's different in the fact of, for the most part, they're for their overall good of their whole humanity as a whole, whether it be alien or human. They're for the overall good for the most part. So there's a lot of that information that I'm going to be writing down for you that's going to be more elaborated, and it's very interesting. So you'll want to be, if you haven't gone on my Facebook, you definitely want to do that. I have a new website out. The other thing is, in my soul DNA activation meditation, there's actually some universal energy that we use with that. As I have begun to channel, I also channel in with a star person. And that's what they like to call themselves, by the way. They don't like to be called aliens, or that's not the term that they use. They use star people or star person. So anyways, if you go to my souldnaactivation.com, there's a soul DNA activation meditation on there. And that was created with my counsel for me and for others. And during that meditation, you actually bring in a star energy. And so that's a universal energy that the star people had taught me how to work with a little bit. So that's another interesting thing. You want to check that out. And just watch for the articles, the up-and-coming articles that I'll be doing on that. If you have any questions, email me at jennifer@jenniferopsychic.com or add me on Facebook and ask me there. And I will go ahead and try to answer those for you. And we have some really exciting stuff that is coming up here in the future. I'm also doing a workshop this weekend, and I do workshops, and so if you're interested, you can email me about those. Again, that's jennifer@jenniferopsychic.com. And I'm still doing readings, so if you want a reading for the new year, now is a good time to do that. And you can also find my reading stuff on the souldnaactivation.com site. So thank you for joining in today. I hope that you've learned some things, and if you, like I said, I know that I didn't answer all your questions, and if you have more questions, just let me know, and we will talk again soon. Aloha, and have a wonderful day.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun, Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino-style games to choose from, with new games released each week. You can play for free, and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Online education is convenient, but sometimes it can be lonely. Sometimes the extra help you need can only come from someone else. At American Public University, we make online education personalized, affordable, and memorable. With 24/7 mental health support available in multiple languages, access to career coaches, and lifelong career services, you'll never feel alone on your path to success. American Public University. Digital by nature, human by design.